One day, your cars will drive through every major city on Earth. Your factories will run day and night. Your logo will appear on highways, on delivery vans, on taxis, and in family driveways. The company you build will be worth more than some countries. But today, you are 8 years old. You are standing in the rain beside your father's broken car. The engine is dead. Your shoes are soaked. Your mother is counting the last bills in her wallet, and your family does not have enough money to fix it. Your father keeps turning the key. The car coughs once, then goes silent again. Cars pass you on the road, their headlights cutting through the rain, their engines warm, their windows dry, their families moving forward. But your family is stuck. Your father opens the hood. Steam rises into the cold air. You are too small to understand the engine, but you understand the look on his face. It is the look of a man who has run out of options. That night, you sit on the floor of your room with a broken toy car in your hands. One wheel is missing. The plastic door is cracked. The paint is scratched off the roof. But you do not throw it away. You take a tiny screwdriver from your father's toolbox, and you try to fix it. You fail the first time. You fail the second time. But on the third try, the wheel turns again. It is not much. It is just a toy. But for the first time in your life, something broken moves because of you. From that day on, you spend every free hour in your father's garage. You watch him change oil, tighten bolts, replace belts, and listen to engines like they are speaking a language. Your father is not rich. He does not own a big shop. He does not have a team. He works in a narrow garage behind your apartment building, with old tools, bad lighting, and hands that always smell like gasoline. But to you, the garage feels like a secret world. Every car has a problem. Every problem has a cause. And every cause can be found if you are patient enough to look. At school, you are quiet. Other kids draw superheroes, houses, and soccer players. You draw headlights, steering wheels, old engines, and cars that do not exist yet. Your teachers tell you to pay attention. Your classmates laugh at your notebooks. But you keep drawing. One afternoon, a rich man brings a silver sports car to your father's garage. It is low, shiny, and louder than anything on your street. You stand beside it without touching it. The car looks like it came from another world. Your father tells you to stay back, but you cannot stop staring. The rich man complains about a strange sound in the engine. Your father fixes it in 20 minutes. The man pays him less than he promised, then drives away without saying thank you. You watch the silver car disappear. For the first time, you understand something. Some people own beautiful machines. Some people fix them, and your family is on the wrong side of that line. At 12, you start washing cars in your neighborhood. You do not have a sign. You do not have a business name. You only have a bucket, a sponge, and a promise to do the job carefully. The first customer pays you $3. You hold the money like it is gold. Then you notice something. People come back when you remember the small things. The coffee stain on the seat, the scratch near the handle, the mud under the wheel arch, the smell they hate inside the car. You start keeping notes. Not in a computer, not in a business plan, just in a cheap notebook hidden under your bed. Mrs. Parker hates dust on the dashboard. Mr. Lewis always checks the tires. The taxi driver needs his car ready before 6 in the morning. You are not just washing cars anymore. You are learning customers. With your first real savings, you do not buy games. You do not buy new shoes. You buy a used tool set from a man at a flea market. Half the tools are rusty. The box barely closes. But when you carry it home, you feel taller. At 15, you begin fixing bicycles, then scooters, then old cars that people are almost ready to give up on. You make mistakes. You tighten the wrong bolt. You forget a part. You break something that was not broken before. Some customers shout at you. Some never come back. Some tell your father you are wasting your time. And more than once, your father stays awake after midnight, silently correcting your mistakes before the customer returns. You hate that feeling. You hate knowing he has to save you. So you start working slower. You check everything twice, then 3 times. You stop pretending you know answers. You listen. One winter evening, a delivery driver brings in an old van. Everyone says the engine is dead. The driver needs it for work the next morning. Without the van, he loses his job. Your father is sick that day, so the driver looks at you, a skinny teenager with dirty hands, and asks if you can try. You spend 6 hours under the hood. Your fingers go numb. Your back hurts. You almost give up. Then you find the problem. A small cracked wire. Not the engine. Not the fuel pump. Not the battery. One small wire. You replace it, turn the key, and the van comes alive. The driver laughs so hard he almost cries. You do not sleep that night. You keep hearing the engine start. At 19, you rent your first garage. It is small, cold, and cheaper than it should be because the roof leaks. You paint the sign yourself. The letters are uneven. The paint drips down the wood. But when you hang it above the door, it feels like a flag. Night Road Garage. That is the name, because most nights, you work until sunrise. Your first customers are not rich. They are taxi drivers, couriers, janitors, small shop owners, and parents driving cars older than their children. They do not ask for luxury. They ask one question: will it start tomorrow? Again and again, you hear the same pain. Fuel is too expensive. Repairs are too expensive. Parts are too expensive. And every month the car takes money before the family can breathe. You begin to understand the real car market. The world does not need another machine for rich men to show off. The world needs a car that ordinary people can survive with. At 22, you try your first invention. It is not a car. Not yet. It is a cheap fuel-saving conversion kit for older vehicles. You build it from used parts, scrap metal, borrowed sensors, and late-night guesses. The first version barely works. The second version works for 10 minutes. The third version works for a full day. A local investor hears about you. He visits the garage in a clean suit that looks wrong next to the oil stains. He watches the test. He sees the numbers, and he writes you a check. For the first time, someone with money believes you might become more than a mechanic. You hire 2 friends. You rent a small warehouse. You buy better tools, better parts, and a whiteboard big enough to hold all your impossible ideas. On one corner of that board, you draw the shape of a simple electric car. You do not tell anyone yet. It feels too big to say out loud. Then comes the demonstration. Investors arrive. Cameras arrive. Your father stands in the back, quiet, proud, worried. The test car rolls onto the lot. For a few seconds, everything works. Then the system overheats. Smoke pours from the hood. Someone yells. The engine cuts out. The car stops in front of everyone. By morning, the video is online. Small garage inventor fails in public. Dangerous fuel kit catches fire. Local startup crashes before launch. The investor pulls out. Your friends stop looking you in the eye. Customers stop bringing cars. Bills pile up. Your landlord changes the locks. Night Road Garage is gone. You stand outside with your toolbox in one hand and the broken sign in the other. For the first time since you were 8, you feel stuck again. You take a night job at a shipping warehouse. You load boxes, scan labels, drive forklifts, and try not to think about cars. But the warehouse is full of drivers. Delivery drivers, taxi drivers, truck drivers, people who live inside their vehicles because their work depends on them. Every break, they talk about the same things: gas prices, repair bills, dead batteries, old engines, new cars they cannot afford. One night, an old taxi driver sits beside you on the loading dock. His car has 400,000 miles on it. The seat is torn, the paint is fading, but he talks about it like a partner. He says, "I do not need a beautiful car. I need a car that does not destroy my wallet." That sentence stays with you. You write it on a cardboard box. Then you write it again in your notebook. A car that does not destroy your wallet. That becomes the idea. Not luxury, not speed, not status. Freedom from constant repair. Freedom from fuel. Freedom from the fear that one broken part can ruin a family. At 25, you start again. This time, you do not build a kit for old cars. You build a new car from the ground up. Small, electric, simple, cheap to run, easy to repair. You call the company VoltForge Motors. The office is an abandoned furniture warehouse. The floor is cracked. The windows rattle in the wind. There is no receptionist. No glass conference room. No fancy logo on the wall. There is only you. One engineer who agrees to work for almost nothing, and a drawing taped above a folding table. The first prototype is ugly. The doors close too loudly. The dashboard looks unfinished. The seats are plain. The paint color is terrible. But it moves. And when it moves, it costs almost nothing to keep moving. You name it, VF1. The first people to test it are not journalists. They are delivery drivers. They know exactly what matters. Range, charging, space, repair cost, and whether the car can survive a bad road at 5 in the morning. They insult the design. They complain about the seats. They laugh at the tiny horn. But at the end of the test, one driver asks the question that changes everything. How much? The first order is for 20 cars. Not 2,000, not 200, 20, but you stare at the contract like it is a miracle. You cannot afford a real factory. So you build the first 20 cars by hand. Your team sleeps on office floors. Your father comes after work to help. Your mother brings food in plastic containers. Sometimes the power goes out. Sometimes a part arrives wrong. Sometimes you realize a mistake will cost 2 days you do not have. But the cars leave the building. One by one, they roll into the city. At first, no one notices. Then couriers start posting videos. Taxi drivers start asking questions. Small business owners start doing the math. The VF1 is not beautiful, but it is cheap to run. It is easy to fix. And for people counting every dollar, that matters more than beauty. Orders rise. 20 becomes 50. 50 becomes 200. 200 becomes a waiting list. You rent a bigger building. Then a bigger one. You hire mechanics, engineers, drivers, factory workers, accountants, and people whose job titles you barely understand. You are no longer just fixing cars. You are building a system that builds cars. That is harder. Machines break. Suppliers lie. Managers quit. Investors demand faster growth. Competitors mock you on television. They call your car a rolling appliance. They say nobody dreams about a cheap electric box. Maybe they are right. But every morning, your cars carry nurses to hospitals, couriers to apartments, parents to schools, and workers to jobs they cannot afford to miss. You are not building a dream car. You are building a car people can depend on. That becomes your strength. Then the crisis hits. At the worst possible moment, reports start coming in. Batteries are failing in cold weather. Not all of them. Not most of them, but enough. A delivery van stops in the middle of traffic. A taxi loses power during a storm. A family gets stranded on a highway at night. No one dies, but trust does. The headlines are brutal. VoltForge promised reliability and failed. Cheap electric cars, dangerous compromise. Founder knew growth was too fast. Your board wants a quiet fix. Replace only the worst batteries. Deny the larger problem. Protect the stock price. Survive the quarter. You sit in the meeting and hear the same kind of fear you heard from your father years ago. The fear of running out of options. But this time, you have a choice. You walk into a live interview. You look into the camera, and you admit the truth. The batteries are not good enough. The company grew too fast. Every affected customer will get a free replacement. Every car will be checked. And until the problem is fixed, you will not take a salary. The next 6 weeks almost destroy VoltForge. Money burns. Investors panic. Factories slow down. Your competitors celebrate. You sleep in the battery plant, on a narrow couch beside the testing room. Engineers work through the night. Drivers line up outside service centers. Some shout at you. Some thank you. Most just want their cars back. Then the new battery works. In the cold, in the heat, in traffic, on broken roads, under pressure. The VF1 returns. But now it carries something stronger than marketing. It carries a story. The company made a mistake and fixed it in public. Trust comes back slowly, then quickly. Fleet orders return. Families return. Cities return. The VF2 launches with better range, better safety, better seats, and a design people no longer laugh at. Then comes a family crossover. A small work truck, a city taxi model, and a delivery van built for companies that cannot waste fuel. VoltForge expands beyond your country. First one factory, then 3, then 7. Your cars arrive in ports, deserts, mountain towns, crowded cities, and quiet suburbs. You see your logo on highways, on delivery vans, on taxis, and in family driveways. Exactly like the future you could not imagine as a child. At 55, you stand on a stage in front of thousands of people. Behind you is the newest VoltForge model. It is not the most expensive car in the world. It is not the fastest. It is not covered in gold, or built only for people with private gates. It is built for the people you grew up with, the ones who count bills at night, the ones who cannot afford to be stranded, the ones who need tomorrow morning to work. After the event, you return to your old neighborhood. The garage behind your apartment building is still there. The walls have been repaired. The roof no longer leaks. On one wall, inside a simple frame, is your childhood drawing of a car. The lines are uneven. The wheels are too big. The windows are crooked, but you remember the boy who drew it. The boy in wet shoes. The boy beside the broken car. The boy who learned that being stuck is not always the end. Sometimes, it is the first moment you start building a way forward. You were never born into an empire. You built one broken engine at a time.